Hey folks, there's an awesome end of season footy tournament happening in Thailand later this year, and you don't want to miss this one. The Australia's #1 globally touring Masters football club, the Slugs, they're playing an end of season footy tournament in Phuket on October 26th. It's for over 35s, and it's a 12-a-side one-day tournament involving teams across Asia at the beautiful Alan Cook ground, one of the truly unique sports grounds in the world. It's where Masters footy meets paradise. For more details, check out the Southern Slugs Football Club Facebook page and get involved. Thank you so much to our new sponsor, the Woodville Districts Basketball Club. They compete in South Australia's junior and senior basketball competitions. They're one of just 10 member clubs in Basketball SA's competitions. They provide complete pathways from 6-year-olds to seniors to state and national representation, and I happen to be their court announcer. Well, what a pleasure it is to have the one and only Lisa Curry, 3-time Olympian, best-selling author, motivational speaker, reality TV star. She's done it all, and she's live on Facebook. What a pleasure to have Lisa talk all things Olympics. How are you going over there, Lisa, in Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, good, Bevo. How are you going? I just heard something really exciting happening on the TV, and I couldn't run in and see what it was, but I think it was the end of the triathlon where they were really close. So I missed that one. I'll have to catch up on the news later.
Well, triathlon's been an interesting one, hasn't it? There was a bit of talk about whether or not it would go ahead because of the water and all sorts of things, but yeah, luckily it worked out in the end. What's your thoughts on the Olympics so far? And the swimming's been amazing, hasn't it? Particularly with the Aussies in the pool, competing against the best in the world and showing that we definitely punch above our weight.
Yeah, look, I'm a bit sad today, to be honest. Been really, really enjoying it, and it's kind of like a combination of being sad and being relieved for the swimmers, because there's such high expectations always on our swim team, and I know that they feel it. I know that they revel in it, but at the same time, it's kind of sad, and we saw those emotions come out in Ariane and Emma, because it was their last swims of the games, and they actually they did it. They did it. This has been their dream for so long, and then all of a sudden, and not all of a sudden, but that time comes when it's finished, and it's a relief. There's so many emotions that go through your head, and I mean, for Emma, it might be a new start to the rest of her life now, because a lot of swimmers these days are swimming into their late 20s, early 30s, and they're swimming for 20 years of their life, sometimes more, before they quit. So it's a big thing, and I've felt every emotion in the last, week or so, and not just the swimming, but all the sports.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the swimming, because it's been an amazing story. And obviously we had Cam McAvoy, his 4th Olympics, winning gold in the 50 freestyle. And as you mentioned before, Ariane doing her thing, with Molly O winning a couple of gold medals as well, and pipping Ariane at the post. There's been so many stories. What's been some of your highlights, though, in the first week? And we'll get to the other sports in the Olympics in a moment. But in terms of the swimming, what's been your highlights, Lise?
There's been lots of highlights. There's almost too many, but I think Cam's win in the 50 was extraordinary. I understand the type of training that he's doing, because I did that myself back in 1992. I had 2 little girls and had to find a different way of training. So I understand exactly what he was going through and what he's done, and to pull it off on the night. I mean, that 50 freestyle is like a men's 100 sprint. If you're in the final, you have a chance to win. Anyone can win it. So, he won it by a very, very small margin, but that's all it takes. It's not about the time at the Olympics. It's always about the placing that you get. So I think Cam's was great. I loved Molly's races, the amount of pressure that she felt. We could see her nerves as she got up onto the blocks, and to finally win that 200, it was just a great success story for Molly. And I mean, you can't go past our relays, and Ariane are just amazing. I thought Ariane's 800 last night was really good. I thought the Chinese guy in the 100 freestyle was super good. He smashed everybody. I mean, you don't often see that in a 100 freestyle. You don't see one smash anyone, but he did. And it was a great race. Sarah Sjöström from Sweden, her 100 freestyle was a surprise to her. That was fantastic. But some of the other swims that I really loved that we don't talk about, and it's a shame that we don't talk about it because they're not gold medal swims. So Meg Harris coming second in the 50, I thought that was fabulous. And Brianna Throssell in the 4x1 freestyle relay. You know, she's retiring now. She said she's got a life to live, but those girls who back up the superstars only by name, not really by speed, in the relays, need the accolades as well because without them, you know, the team wouldn't do as well as they did. So Brianna and Meg, I think, are an absolute superstars, and also Elijah Whittington. I just loved his swim. I loved his interview afterwards, and loved everything about the human that he is. And I think these Olympics have shown real insights into the athletes, how they've overcome things in their life, how they've challenged themselves, resilience with their struggles that they've had. And, you know, it's a lifetime of commitment. And swimming is a really quite a lonely sport. So you've got your head down in that water, up and down that black line, you know, 10, 11 times a week. It's a difficult sport. And to spend half your life or more in that pool, there comes a day when you think, I just want to sleep in. I just want to eat not one Tim Tam, but a whole packet of Tim Tams. I just want to go out and I want to go to bed when the sun rises. I want to have just one drink, you know, because for all this time, the dedication that's needed to eat right, to sleep right, to train right, to stretch right, to be, you know, strong, to be everything that you need, all those different elements have to come together for one moment in time. And that's what the Olympics is. It's a moment in time in your life. I can tell you what, that most swimmers, when they finish at the Olympics, they don't go and dive in the pool and swim for fun, you know, as opposed to maybe a surfer or a skateboarder. You know, they go out and they do it for fun. But swimmers generally don't go and swim, you know, 6 or 8K for fun after they retire. So it's a tough sport. It's, I think, one of the toughest sports out there at the Olympic program. I think triathlon is absolutely one of the toughest sports out there. But gee, it's been great, hasn't it? I mean, I could talk about it all night because I just love it so much.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I suppose we should mention as well, Kaylee McEwen, what a story, back to back, you know, obviously 2 gold medals at this Olympics and then Tokyo as well. I think it's one of the first, I think she's beaten Ian Thorpe now in terms of overall gold medals. Amazing achievement by someone so young and who's been through some tough times as well. And speaking of tough times, you mentioned before the Chinese swimmer Pan that just pipped Kyle at the post, but we better mention our South Aussie boy Kyle. Didn't he do us proud as well?
I saw Kyle at the pool here not too long ago. He was training at the Sunshine Coast University pool, and I so wanted to go and give him a hug or high five or something, but I was not in great shape, and I was not going to let him see me in the shape that I was in. I had a hip replacement, so of course I couldn't move for about a year, and I put on a lot of weight, and I went to the pool to try and do some exercise to, you know, get back into it, but I didn't want to let him see me in the shape I was in, so I was too scared to go and say hi. But what a great guy. What a magnificent swim that he had. He backs up those relays. I'll tell you what, if he could stop giving everyone half a body, I was going to say boat length, half a body length on the starts, he'd smash everyone. But he gives them that head start. I don't know why. But he's a fabulous human being as well.
And another thing that's been a bit controversial, speaking of Kyle, because he was a part of that in the heats, and the way he just came back to win it for Australia in the heats with that 4x100 metre medley mixed relay. The older James Magnuson, the missile, came out and was pretty controversial about it. He said it was a bit of a farce, but I actually loved it, Lisa. I think it's great to have these athletes combining, you know, males and females at the same time. What was your thoughts on it?
I have mixed feelings on it. I don't love it, to be honest. I would rather see a 4x50 medley relay and a 4x50 freestyle relay for both men and women. And I think that would give a better indication of who the fastest in the world is over short distances. Yeah, look, it was fun to watch, but yeah, I don't know. not a great fan, but it was
Fair,
good. It was
fair enough.
fine. Yeah.
What do you think makes the Aussies so strong in swimming? Because I mentioned at the start, we absolutely like punch well above our weight considering some of the countries we compete against that are way bigger than us. But little old Australia, we always seem to go really well in the swimming. It's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like a lot of people have started comparing, we only have 27 million, I think, people in Australia at the moment. I don't know, it could be more than that, but America has 300 odd million. But it's the same thing. Only two people per country can compete. So you're taking the best that the country has. But I think we have to acknowledge the amazing coaches that we have in Australia. I mean, Michael Bowl, God love him. He was my first boyfriend, but so I have a soft spot for Michael. He's the sweetest guy, and he has come out to be the most incredible coach, coaching most of these athletes. And Dean Boxall too. I trained around Dean Boxall as well, but we've got to acknowledge these coaches and how fabulous they are, and their training techniques, the way they get the best out of their athletes, and all the athletes have acknowledged them on pool deck, but we haven't heard one interview from them yet. And I would love for someone to interview some of our coaches and just get a real insight into their life as well, because I believe Michael is going to retire now to spend more time with his family. And fair enough. I mean, coaching is hard. And I would have, when I retired from swimming, I thought about coaching. I would have loved to have coached, and I coached in a different sport for 20 years, but swimming coaching is relentless. It is morning and night, pretty much, 50 weeks of the year. And so I reckon take our hats off to all of our coaches. And I hope they get paid for their athletes' gold medals too. I hope
Yeah,
they get rewarded with something because they deserve it.
yeah, well said. I might have to get Dean Boxall or Michael on my show. Dean especially would be hilarious, I reckon. He's such a character.
Yeah, look, he's a character, and there's always a character. Laurie Lawrence was a character, of course, but I think Michael, you'll find, is a bit more like my coach, Mr. King, the quiet, reserved, well-spoken, humble, but we need that mix. And, in my day, we needed Laurie on the side of the pool to rally us all up because my coach was so quiet. He didn't really say too much. But, yeah, I think if you could get them on your show, it'd be awesome.
Absolutely. And let's get back to your own journey, Lisa. Obviously, 3 Olympics I mentioned at the start. What made the Olympics so special for you? And yeah, what do you enjoy most about it when you were competing for Australia?
I had very different experiences in my Olympics. My first Olympics was in Moscow when I was 18, and we swam against the East Germans. So, East Germany in my event, the 100 butterfly, were first, second, and third. In fact, they were first, second, and third in nearly every event. In the women's, Michelle Ford was the only one that could really beat them. And so that was a really tough time for the athletes in that era. Those East Germans started their campaign probably was after Shane Gould, so for the 76 Olympics. So if you want to watch a really great documentary, watch the one that's called The Last Gold. And it features Shirley Babashoff, who was very outspoken for the freestyle relay in 1976. So that's a great movie to watch and gives you some insight into what we were up against in the early 80s, going right through until probably 1988. Then the wall came down around, East Germany in 1980. When was that? 1989. It came down on the 9th of November. I remember that because it's my daughter's birthday. And I actually, you can't see it on top of my shelf up there, there's actually a piece of the Berlin Wall
Oh,
because my brother lived in West Berlin. So he went and got a piece of the Berlin Wall for me. So yeah, Moscow was great. I swam. I should have, swum the bloody egg and spoon race as well. I was in every event. Then I went to LA, and of course there was a boycott in LA from some of the Eastern Bloc countries. That was probably my closest, sort of closest to a medal, where I got fourth, fifth, and sixth. But I missed an Olympics. I commentated in Seoul and sat up in the stands and thought I should be down there racing. And that's when I decided to make a comeback. Long story short, I ended up making my third Olympics at the age of 30 with 2 kids for Barcelona, and rested every single thing that I had worked hard for on one race. And we came fifth. And we were 2/10 of a second away from a bronze medal, but it wasn't to be for me. And I would have given anything to stand on that dais, anything. But it wasn't meant to be. So I had babies sort of in between each Olympics. So I kind of realized now that if I just didn't have children and just swam, I might have got that medal, but I wouldn't have changed anything for the world, obviously. So 2 little girls at the age of 30 at my last Olympics was probably the highlight of my life, actually, in sporting.
I was going to say 5th in the world is pretty amazing anyway. That's something you should be very proud of. So
yeah, I think, I think now because we win so many things, win so many medals, 4th, 5th, and 6th doesn't mean anything, whereas back in those days, gee, if an athlete on the track got 4th, they would have been like a superhero. But now we are winning lots of medals, right? So times have changed, and it's interesting because technology has changed. The filming that we see sitting at home watching these Olympics, that's changed. You see every angle from every athlete. I mean, the men's 100 sprint, was that only this morning or was that yesterday? I can't remember.
oh, the men's 100, that was a few days ago, I think. Yeah.
Noah Lyles, yeah. And just
sorry.
watching that.
The actual men's running. Sorry, I think talking about swimming. Yeah, that was last night. Sorry, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I watched it this morning. It just feels like days ago. It's all rolling into one. But to see the breakdown that's able to come up pretty instantly on the times that they did out of the blocks, first 10 meters, first 40 meters, 60 meters, 80 meters in the end. And it came down. I didn't even know they went to thousandths of a second.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And I thought technology is incredible. I'm fairly certain they don't do that in swimming. They would have given that a dead heat. And wouldn't it have been nice to have a dead heat, I think, for the Jamaican guy?
Yeah, I agree.
Poor guy, he looked so disappointed. But I'll tell you what, Noah, he put a lot of himself out there to the world. Good on him, because he was able to back it up. But something I don't understand? I mean, if you're going to wear a watch and a big gold necklace around your neck and some earrings, and the girls have fingernails that are 2 inches long and their hair is flying behind them 1 meter long out the back, I mean, surely there's got to be some sort of, I don't know, aerodynamic component of that. Because if you compare that to Kathy Freeman, for example, in Sydney, where she had the full lycra suit with the hat on as well, and everything was tucked in. And then these girls got their hair flying and fingernails and gold chains and watches. I don't know. When you're talking about thousandths of a second, I thought if you take your watch off, you might have gone that little bit faster. I don't know. It's just funny to watch.
No, it's very interesting for sure. No, I love it. And you're right. It's just all a big stage show, isn't it? With the 100 meters. It's absolutely gold. They're just such characters.
I videoed it this morning on my phone because I wanted to watch it back. And the video goes for like 16 minutes. Now, they really dragged out that final, the intros and the music and the build-up. It's like, come on, these guys have warmed up, ready to go at a certain time, and you've dragged it on. But, the Paris Olympics, I've got to say, I reckon is the best ever, the best I've ever seen, as far as having the iconic French locations in the background of all of these athletes. I mean, amazing photos to have the Eiffel Tower behind you as you cycle past, or the Arc de Triomphe, or Montmartre, up there with all the crowd. And the French, I think, have done a really good job. And how good was the French, because Al, now I feel like I know him, the French swimmer, Leon Marchand, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
He's a freak.
And he trained hard.
Yeah.
You're born with 2 arms and 2 legs and heart and lungs like everyone else. It's what you do with it, right?
Yeah.
So it's how you choose to push your body daily as to what it might do in 10 years' time. So in saying that, all the kids around the world today who are between the ages of, 8 and 15, they are going to be our superstars that we will be watching in Brisbane. And because I just said that Paris was the best ever, I'm feeling I like this with Brisbane. What are we going to do to top Paris? I don't know if we ever can. Like, having a picture in front of the Story Bridge is not quite like the Eiffel Tower, but anyway, we'll see what we can do.
Well, I'm sure our water will be better than the French water with the triathlon situation. So,
Oh, well, not the Brisbane River, but I think the triathlon is up here on the Sunshine Coast, and we hold a lot of triathlons up here.
yes.
And they swim in the bay at Mooloolaba or at Noosa, so they'll be totally fine. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Be really good.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a bit of criticism with Paris, but I agree with you, Lisa. I think it's been a fantastic event. And I mean, every Olympics is always some sort of hiccup that occurs. And I think it's, like you said before, the scenery has been amazing with watching, like the triathlon and all the running races and all the other events and stuff. And then you've got the marathon to come up on Sunday. So yeah, I think they've done a wonderful job.
Yeah, I think so. And, the people who criticize it, what can you do? That someone's always going to criticize something. But at the end of the day, overall, I think Paris has put on a fabulous Olympic Games.
Yeah, I agree with you. And speaking of Olympics, I love hearing the stories about the Olympic Village. Have you got a couple of funny stories to share back in your day when you went to those 3 Olympics?
Yeah, some of them probably aren't really able to be told. But I did tell this particular story. It was in Moscow. And what is Russia famous for?
Russia?
Yeah.
Oh, all sorts of things, I guess.
Vodka.
Oh, vodka, of
Russian
course.
vodka. So after we finished swimming, we were trialing some of the Russian vodka, of course. We went down the street outside the village and bought some vodka. And my friend who was next to me, she's cheeky rat bag. I was having a couple of little sculls of vodka and she was tipping hers down the sink and I didn't know. But anyway, some of the other boys were having quite a lot. And I won't say who it is, but one of them passed out. And I can't remember. I don't think he was naked. I think he might have been like just in his togs or his undies, or he might have had shorts on. I can't remember. But they put him in the lift and just pushing all the buttons. So he was going up and down the we were in high rises then. For everyone to see, everyone that came into the lift, there was just this Aussie guy curled up in the corner passed out.
That is brilliant.
I think that's one of the reasons why they send all the athletes away from the village when they finish their sports and they come back for the closing ceremony. It's so that those sort of things don't happen. To interrupt the athletes who have their events on the last day. But, it's to be in the village and particularly in the dining room, and you're in there, and then the in those are the Russian water polo team or the Italian water polo team, men's water polo team, all the girls, their jaws would just be hanging on the ground. And then you'd get the Swedish synchronized swimming team walk in, and every male in that dining room just like with frothing at the mouth. They were just like, oh my God, like, look at these girls. And, the athletes, you might get, a 200-kilo shot putter, and the amount of food that he would eat sitting next to a tiny little, 35-kilo gymnast who's eating lettuce leaves, just to see the different types of athletes walking around the village and knowing that every 4 years there's only 10,000 or so that make it. Maybe 1,000 more or so now with new sports in there. But generally speaking, 10,000 athletes every 4 years get to go to the Olympic Games. You see them, you watch them, and you are one of them. So no one can ever take it away from any Olympian. Once an Olympian, always an Olympian. Never former Olympian or ex-Olympian. You are just an Olympian.
Yeah, something you should be extremely proud of to do it 3 times as well, Lisa. And you were talking before about Tim Tams. What was your go-to meal after a big race? And something from the Olympic Village, like I heard there was something like 9 Maccas at Atlanta back in the day and stuff like that.
Yeah, we did have Maccas in LA, or if there was, I didn't eat it. But I remember the ice creams in Moscow; they were beautiful. They were like had this covered in a really soft vanilla ice cream. They were They were like a roll, and they were rolled in this like a pastry thing. They were delicious, and we might have had way too many of them. I remember in LA we used to have like just buckets and buckets of M&Ms in our room, and in Barcelona, or whatever I could get my hands on. I was skinny, I was muscular, I was lean. I could eat whatever I liked, and I did.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Speaking of loving things as well, obviously Jess Fox is another one that the whole of
Mm.
Australia's grown to love, especially from Tokyo, and now winning those 2 gold medals and a chance to win a third potentially. And Saya Sakakibara, like what an amazing story, winning our first ever BMX medal, and she's been through absolute hell and back. So two incredible stories with those two. I'm sure there's so many others, Jess, but they're two that really come to mind.
Yeah, I was telling my grandson about Saya. Saya Sakakibara. I can't even say it now because it's in my head, Saya Sakakibara. So I said to my grandson, Saya Sakakibara. So it's easier to say that. Is it Sakakibara?
Sakakibara, I reckon, is how you say it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You'll say Sakakibara now. Yeah, fabulous story, fabulous race. And Jess, I mean, I have put out there on social media that 3 highlights for me were Molly O'Callaghan. I think the way she handled herself, handled that pressure and the stress to win was incredible. Jess Fox, I don't know, I've got this theme for Jess. I think I'm girl fanning her a bit because she actually looks very, very similar to my husband's daughter. And all her mannerisms and what she says, it's exactly the same as Talia Tabone. So but her races were amazing. And what I loved most about Jess was that when she got on the dais, the amount of joy that she had and jumping up and down on the dice, that's what winning's all about to me. It's that pure joy of, I did it. I did it. And I just sat there and cried pretty much the whole time. And then the other highlight for me was Harry Garside. Now, clearly it's not a highlight for Harry, but in defeat, you show your true colors. And Harry, what a beautiful human being he is. And his interview, how he talked about his defeat, because back in my day, if we cried or talked about defeat or showed how disappointed we were, it was probably seen as bad sportsmanship. You're a bit of a sook. But these days, it's different. It's celebrated. It's celebrated because you're human, and human emotion is real. And his interview with Carl and
Sarah?
Sarah, yep,
Yeah.
Carl and
Yeah.
Sarah, was really beautiful. And that hug that Carl gave him, that was a hug from Australia. I felt that hug, and my husband and I were sitting there, just tears rolling down our face, and we just thought, Harry, you don't have to win a medal to be a champion person. And I think that's a really big lesson for everyone to take forward once they retire from their sport, that winning medals is very temporary. So one day you're a national icon, you're a world champion, Olympic champion, and you go to bed, you put your medal down next to bed, and you wake up the next morning and you're you again. And you have to then live the rest of your life. So, what type of person are you? What do you give to other people? What can you say to others to lift them, to make them feel like they stand on the dais even when they don't? So, there's some really important lessons to be learned through sport. And it's these lessons that I have learned, because I have felt victory, not on the highest stage, but near victory. And I've also experienced the lows of defeat and loss and everything in between. So it's not what you get, it's what you do with what you get. So that's the message that I like to give to everyone. And if you lose, don't lose the lesson.
Yeah, they're great words. That's why you're such a great motivational speaker as well, Lisa. And I want to talk, you mentioned it before, you've had some challenges throughout your life. And one of those recent times was when you had a hip replacement. My dad's had a couple, and they're becoming a lot more common for people nowadays to have them. Tell us a bit more about that, and the fact that you're a personal trainer, have got so much experience when it comes to wellness. Did that sort of help you with the recovery as well?
No, chocolate helps me with recovery. um, no, I haven't been a trainer for a little while because, as you know, we've been through some tough times, and I just lost my mojo. I lost everything, and it's taken me a long time to get back on top of being Lisa Curry, being the person that I was and want to be. And then I had a couple of setbacks with my hip, and but those things sort of happen, and you just got to roll with it and do the best you can. And I'm only now starting to feel really good. I can tell you, first day of the Olympics, Channel 9 put together some great packages, and they were interviewing James Tompkins. Is it James Tompkins, the rower?
Yes, yeah,
Awesome
that's right.
Possum.
Part of the
Yeah,
awesome
yeah,
possum.
James.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I remember he was talking about team selection, seat swaps, and the ergo on the rowing machine. And I used to do all that as well with my outrigger team, who won 4 world championships. And my girls used to say to me, "We hate this ergo testing." And I said, "Yeah, but it's good for you. There's nowhere to hide." And I remember when he was talking on TV in the story, I remember how much we got out of that bloody rowing ergo. So I went out and I bought one that day. So and then I took it up to a little shed that we've got up the back and created my new gym up there. So I went and bought some weights and some skipping ropes and some battle ropes. And so Curry's back.
Beautiful. And I wanted to ask you about a saying that you're famously known for saying, and that was, "Throw me to the wolves, and I'll come back leading the pack." Did I get that correct? Did I say that correctly? And explain a bit
Yep.
more about that saying.
Yeah. So in my life, I'll talk about my own personal experience, but possibly in a lot of other people's lives as well. People put doubt in your mind. When I decided to swim again for the 92 Olympics, so many people told me that I couldn't do it, wouldn't do it, shouldn't do it. You're too old, leave it to the younger kids. You don't have much time, you've got too many responsibilities. So many people told me all the negatives. And yet there was one thing that kept me going, and that was my own dream. That was my own thoughts when I went to bed every night, that, you know what, I can do this if I'm prepared to do the work. And it was bloody hard. I had 2 little girls. It was hard. I had to find a different way of training. I trained in the gym more than I did in the pool, did all sorts of crazy things. I completely know what Cam McAvoy's talking about. And sometimes you've just got to walk alone. And then all of a sudden you turn around and everyone's following what you're doing. So, there are tough situations where people throw you in a hole and you emerge as, the leader of the pack, the wolf, and then people start following what you do. And so, that happened in various times of my life where I had to find a different way to do something to get a different result, a better result. And a lot of people don't. I mean, if people have read my book, they would know. But I competed in another sport after swimming for another 20 years and coached my team, and we won 4 world championships, and I won the world championship solo, a 66-kilometer race. So I went from 50-meter freestyle, 25 seconds to 7 hours on a canoe. But we were just a bunch of girls from Sunshine Coast and mums, and everything that I'd learned in my swimming career, I was able to manipulate and to pass on to my team. And not only did we win once, but we won 4 times. So really proud of that. But I love that. I love that quote: "Throw me to the wolves and I'll return leading the pack." And when you think about it, that's what leadership is all about. It's about getting people to willingly do what they wouldn't ordinarily want to do or can do. And that's the skill of leadership and of coaching and getting the best out of people.
Absolutely love it, and that's why so many people are inspired by you, Lisa, and yeah, why you're such a great leader and why you had success as a coach as well. I want to ask you a question because my producer Rory here at Pod Booth loves the weird sports at the Olympics, whether it be Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics. What weird sports have you found yourself watching? Because I think we've got a couple of other unusual ones at this year's, including breakdancing. So there's always some strange ones that they keep introducing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of breakdancing at the Olympics.
No, neither am I.
No, for me, the Olympics is about faster, higher, stronger. That for me is the epitome of the Olympics. If it's a sport that's skillful, I think that could be in its own sort of category. But something weird, oh gee.
You were saying rock climbing before. You found yourself watching it at Tokyo?
Yeah, I don't know if that's still in this Olympics, but I found that really interesting. Parkour would be great to watch. I reckon those, I'm glued to the TV when the ninja shows on TV
Ninja
because
Warrior?
those people, Ninja Warrior,
yeah.
I reckon those people are very, very skillful.
Yeah.
So yeah, rock climbing or the Ninja Warrior type competition would be great. But I must say, I am looking forward to watching the enhanced games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know that James Magnuson is training for that. There's a big prize packet for wins. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if they can take as many drugs as they want, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the human body is capable of and how fast they can actually go, given that there's no restrictions on what they can take. In saying that too, they're taking the risk that it will damage their health. So that's what they've decided to do. That's a weird and wonderful thing. I think we're all looking forward to watching. Maybe, oh no, I was going to say something, but I won't. It's too controversial.
Yeah, it will be an interesting one. Speaking of interesting, I just love it how now speaking of inspirational athletes, Paralympians, they go through absolute hell and back, some of these athletes, and now they get to compete on the world's biggest stage. And aren't they just unbelievable, some of those athletes, how inspirational, some with no arms and legs, and they're just swimming like hundreds of meters. It just blows me away every time.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you've got the sorry, I just can't think of his name off the top of my head. I know his mum, Moira Kelly. Aren't they from South Australia, the swimmers? Two adopted sons, and one is at the Olympics. But I remember Moira because she was one of our Australian of the Year recipients when I was chairman of the board down there. But to see these human athletes, these superhuman athletes, do superhuman things is incredible. And I remember one of the girls, Tracy Lee, was swimming in her race at the trials for the Barcelona trials in the 50 freestyle, and she had one arm and no legs. And to watch her was courageous. It was incredible. It was inspiring, and it inspired me to give my best. And some of the Paralympians, though, when you talk to them, they don't feel like they have a disability. They would say, you probably have more disabilities than I have, which in some cases is true, but they have been born the way they are, and some of them are Paralympians because of accidents, that sort of thing. But they have lived the life they have their whole life, and they don't see it as a disability. They see it as a gift to be able to show the world what they can do. And so when they get up on the blocks very soon, it's going to be another couple of weeks of amazing competition, and can't wait for that either.
Yeah. No, what a way to finish off. Amazing chat today, Lisa Curry. And before I let you go as well, give yourself a plug. Tell us about how people can find you as a motivational speaker and about your books and everything else as well, and your business, Happy Healthy You.
Yeah, Happy Healthy You has been going for 10 years now, and it's wellness business, all natural supplements for women and for men, and we're very proud of what we've achieved. We've won quite a few awards as well. So that's exciting for me. Not only have I won, medals, I've won awards for my swimwear over the years, and now our natural supplements through Happy Healthy You. So that's exciting. People can find me on Instagram. Lisa Curry. I've got like 4 or 5 different Facebook pages, but Instagram's the one I like the most. And for speaking, they just have to contact me on my email, which is lisa@lisacurry.com.au. Very easy.
I love it. Well, as always, it's so good to have you on the show, Lisa. Thanks so much for your insight into the Paris Olympics and sharing some amazing stories from your own career, and all the very best going forward with everything. It's great to see you've recovered okay from your hip replacement as well.
Yeah, like it just sounds like I was old having a hip replacement, but it wasn't. There was a good story. I fell over on the hard ice when I was husky dog sledding, so gave it a good crack. But I might see you when I'm in South Australia. We've just bought a motorhome and we want to do a lap around the map. So
Amazing.
give you a call when we get down that way.
That sounds incredible. I'd love to get in the studio and do it in person. That would be so good.
Sounds good to me.
All the very best to you and your family. Say hi to Jet and Mark, and all the very best with the rest of 2024 as well.
Thanks so much, Bevo.